We discover the no fluff action steps to help you avoid all the overwhelm and all the BS out there, connecting you with the right mentors, resources, and tools, helping you every step of the way on your entrepreneurial journey. We go live here twice a week, interviewing different entrepreneurs and experts on all areas of business. So make sure to join our Facebook group and look out for the events inside your entrepreneur resources page. You can find all the links in the description box. Today, I have a very special guest with me. It is Melissa Mitchell. How are you doing today?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So excited to have you here with us. So Melissa helps entrepreneurs create a lead generation machine using YouTube and social media to bring them more impact and profit in their business. In this interview with Melissa, we'll be looking at the benefits of using video in your business and how you can use YouTube to bring leads into your business 24 hours a day. Super awesome topic, super excited. But before we get started, do you mind sharing a little bit more about your business and your journey with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have been in the marketing world for almost 6 years. I went kind of started my own business about 3 years ago and then went full time only about 7 months ago now, or maybe 8 months now.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so it's been pretty fresh. I actually started doing just design work and social media. It's kind of what I went to college for. Then slowly pivoted over into video about a year ago. So it's very exciting and is definitely what I'm passionate about because video is definitely the future, as we're going to talk about a little bit more today. But it
Mhm.
just helps you get so much more visible online, and it really helps you grow that connection with your audience, which is super important nowadays. So we will talk about that a little bit more, but that's a quick little background on me.
Yeah, that's incredible. What made you decide to focus on videos on like above every above everything else?
Yeah. So, like I said, I kind of started in social media in general. So, I was just
Mhm,
a kind of social media manager.
mhm,
And I just saw that, most people are getting the most connections and the most growth with using video as the kind of tool in their social media channels. So I decided that, there's not a lot of people focusing strictly on video. So let's kind of move into that realm. And as I
mhm.
started to learn more and more about it, I learned the power of YouTube and how much that can help you grow your business and how it can bring you in leads on autopilot. So I just, again, kind of niche down even more into that and specifically helping people create this lead generation system on YouTube. And it's just kind of taken off and grown from there.
Yeah. Do you mind walking us through a little bit about the different benefits there are using videos?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say the one of the biggest ones is really growing that like know, like, and trust factor with your audience
Mm,
because they're not only hearing you, but they're also seeing you, right? And just being able to see someone's facial expressions and how they teach and all that stuff is going to help you in no matter what kind of niche you're in, just create that connection with your audience. The second biggest thing is that, YouTube is a search engine. So you're not just you're not just organically showing up in a news feed, but people are actually seeking you out and searching for you to help them solve their problem. So if you can show up in those search results, that's just increasing that kind of warm leads faster, and they're just getting to know you and like you and trust you even faster. So those I would say are the two biggest reasons I love video. And then the third for sure would be the repurposing factor, right? You can
yes.
Yeah, video is like the queen of all content, I like to call it. And you can take one video, one long form piece of video, and break it down into almost 26 pieces of content, which is pretty insane. So you just went from like, being on that hamster wheel of like trying to figure out how to come up with all this content for all these platforms to creating one video and then letting it do the work for you, which is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. So you talked about YouTube videos, and I know there are many different types of videos out there. For example, for TikTok, Instagram Reels, I don't know, Facebook, and there's so many different things. How do you usually do that whole entire process? Like when you talk about video, do you mean, long form YouTube videos or like all types of videos?
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, like you said, video can literally be all of those different platforms, right? I specifically specialize in YouTube videos. So, in my
Mhm.
system, the video lead machine method is kind of the method that I teach. I teach you how to create long form videos for YouTube, and then we break those videos down to go across all your other social channels. So, from that one YouTube video, you'll create an IGTV video, a TikTok video, a reel, any Instagram stories, feed posts, anything like that, depending on what social platforms you have.
That's amazing. I'm so curious because I do something similar and I'm wondering how does that work for you? Like how do you turn that one long form or how do you teach your students or your clients? How do you turn that one piece of long form content and break it down into different formats or different durations and different tips and shorter versions for different platforms?
Yeah, so it kind of goes again into my three-phase system. So
Mhm.
the first phase is really creating the strategy, and I would say that's literally the most important stage because it's where you kind of create that foundation for yourself to break everything down. So from there, we create all the video topics that are really based off of what your ideal client is actually looking for. So we're making sure that we're not just creating content for the sake of content, but we're actually creating content that's going to convert your audience because that's what we're in business for, right? We want to make money. We want to convert our clients. We want to help them. So that's the first step is just really creating that strategy. And in that strategy, you're figuring out what other social platforms you're going to be on. Where do you want to send traffic? What are your different offers? All of those different things, those components. And then we move into phase two, which is creating the actual content itself on YouTube. And then in the third phase, we create the social sales machine is what I call it. So we actually break down that video into those different pieces. Again, tying back to that first strategy we created, because once your strategy is created, you'll know exactly what pieces need to be created from that one video.
Yeah, incredible. So why don't we talk a little bit about these three phases? Because I love
Yeah.
them. I think they're so powerful. So first phase is all about strategy. So how do we, I know the whole entire keyword research thing on YouTube, it can be very confusing and there's
Yeah.
so much competition out there. So how do you do that first phase of, researching and strategizing?
Yeah. So for me, like I said, it's really based on creating content that converts. And that means knowing your messaging and knowing your ideal client, because that's the basis of almost all marketing, really. No matter what strategy you do, if you don't know your ideal client, you don't know what's going to resonate with them, you're going to have a hard time putting any strategy into place. So that's kind of where we start is really understanding who you want to talk to and really understanding what their fears, their pains, and their goals are, and then creating those video titles and that content around those things based on search, of course. So there's a lot of keyword research that goes into that as well. But inside like VMA, my group program, we break it down really, really step by step and show you exactly how to kind of do all of those different things and put the full strategy together.
Hmm. And how do we, I know this is a huge question, but
Yeah.
obviously within the strategy, we have to, like you said, convert our viewers into leads. How
Hmm.
do we do that?
Yeah,
I
that's
know
a
this is
good
a big
question.
question.
Yeah, so this is gonna depend kind of on your business and what your goals are. But the most kind of the easiest way and the way I like to kind of set people up at the beginning, especially, is you know your ideal client, so you know what their problems and their goals are and their fears. Then you kind of create a piece of valuable content that they're going to be interested in. So again, depending on your niche, this might look different for every single person, but it could be a video training series, it could be a webinar, it could be a checklist, or anything really that's kind of valuable to that ideal client. And from there, we usually set up a landing page, something like that, where in exchange for that freebie, they give you their email address. And so that's kind of like the beginning of the sales machine. And the traffic is coming, of course, from YouTube, right? From that search. And then in the bottom of your YouTube video, you'll have that, download this for more information. And then they get added to your email list, which then we have kind of another sequence going through and warming them up and things on the back end there. But that's kind of the lead generation system set up on the front.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. I feel like that's a
Yeah.
lot of incredible tips wrapped into one. Um, I have a question, and I think this is a little bit controversial because I've seen a lot of YouTubers that talk about it differently. But would you recommend people talk about the freebie in the beginning, the middle, the end? Should they even mention it? Should they just leave it in the description box, in the comment box? I feel like different people have different strategies. What's your take on that?
Yeah, great question. I personally think you might as well talk about it, especially if, it's actually what your video is about, right? Like if you're talking about mindset tips and then your freebie is completely left field and it's about Instagram, you might not want to mention it, right? Because it's just completely doesn't make sense. So that's
Mhm.
why it's nice to have a couple different freebies so that you can kind of mix and match depending on what you're talking about. But I always mention mine because I'm using YouTube as a lead generation tool, right? That's what it's set in place for. So I want people to click below and download because it's extra value for them. And it's also, a lead for myself as well. So it's kind of a win-win.
Absolutely. Yeah, I do the same. I usually talk about it kind of in the beginning briefly, and then at the
Mhm.
end, kind of reminding them to download the freebie. Especially if they stick around until the end, they probably would be
Mhm.
interested in downloading it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, yeah, it doesn't need to be something you talk about for a long period of time. And it
Hmm.
doesn't need to be something that's very like jarring at the beginning. If you kind of flow it into your script, your outline for your video, it can be very natural where, you do your introduction and then you say, if you want more information, make sure to click the link below. And then you kind of move on for the rest of your topic. So yeah.
Yeah, amazing. And I know you talked about nurturing sequence with like emails earlier on. So, what are some ways to turn these leads into paying customers or clients? Like, how do they like kind of how do you bring them to that through that journey and converting them in towards the end?
Yeah. So for most of my clients and what I teach inside of my program is we just do a welcome series. This is just kind of like a very basic email marketing sequence. Of course, as you get more comfortable with it, you'll want to expand on it and kind of grow and nurture more. But when you're just starting out, I don't want to overwhelm people. So we always just start with a five email welcome series where once they download or opt in to download your freebie, they get a first email saying, thanks so much, here it is. And you actually deliver it to them through email. And then they get an email every single day for 5 days. And usually what this looks like is it's talking a little bit about you, who you are, what you do, how you can help them. You talk a little bit about your story. You have some, urgency in there to make sure that they know like what your services are and how they can purchase them. So it's kind of a formula that I follow in this kind of welcome series, but that's, I think, the easiest way to kind of get started.
No, absolutely. I love that. Okay, let's move on to phase two for a little bit, and that's creating
Hmm.
content, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so for creating content, I know there's so many YouTubers, so many video like content creators, and not everyone's using YouTube these days, but a lot of people are using
Yeah.
YouTube. How do we kind of stand out from the crowd with our videos in terms of the content that we put out there?
Yeah, that's a really great question. It's really going to come back to knowing your ideal client and your messaging, because if you can understand the inner thoughts of your ideal client and you're not just creating content because you think, oh, well, this is a cool topic or I want to talk about this, then that's where you're going to see success, right? Because I see a lot of YouTubers start right away on their channel doing like behind the scenes videos or vlogs and things like that. And like, to be honest, as you're a new YouTuber, as a new business owner on YouTube, nobody really cares about you, right? And that's a
Hmm.
mistake I see a lot of times. Like, they want to know the answer to their question. So I'd say for the beginning, really make sure you're creating content for your ideal client. And it
Hmm.
doesn't mean you can't like add personality in there and add different stories and things like that from your own experience, but just making sure that it's really content that's searchable first of all from those keywords, and that it's about them, not about you.
Yeah. And if there's someone listening right now that's like, okay, I'm convinced I will start creating videos, but I'm pretty shy. I don't want to put my face out there. Or maybe, they're willing to, but just don't know where to start. What are some tips you might have for them?
Yeah, that's a huge fear I hear all the time is they don't want to be on camera or they don't like the way they sound or things
Hmm.
like that for sure. Some couple tips. First of all, if you're really scared of the camera, have someone help you. Like have someone stand on the opposite side of the camera, right behind the lens, and make it more of a conversation style, almost like we're having right now, where you're asking me questions and I'm answering them. You can do
Hmm.
something very similar with someone behind the camera and you're just answering questions. I've had lots of clients who are very, very uncomfortable on camera, and I'll do this. I'll stand right behind the camera and I'll just ask them questions from our outline, and then in editing, I'll just kind of edit that part out. But that makes people feel a lot more comfortable because they don't have that fear of the camera staring right at them.
Yeah.
So that's a really big one.
Hmm.
Um, Another one is just like getting in the mood, like really just preparing ahead of time for your videos. Because if you're prepared and you have an outline, you have your equipment set up, you know what you're gonna wear, you have like your favorite outfit on, your hair is like done nice, you're gonna feel more confident and you're gonna feel more prepared, right? It's like in school, you know, when you'd have like a big presentation and you'd have to go in front of the class and you're so nervous, right? But you'd always feel less nervous if you prepared ahead of time. So I say it's similar with video. Just make sure you're prepared. Do whatever you can to make yourself feel really confident that like before you hit record. For me, sometimes I'll like have blare music and like have a dance party before I get on camera because it brings my energy up. And then I feel like more confident and yeah. So whatever works for you, but those are two that I've seen help a lot of people.
Yeah, I usually put on my favorite song. I don't even try to rush it. I just kind of take my time and preparing, doing my makeup like a million times.
Yeah,
Oh,
totally.
sometimes I'm like, oh, extra mascara, but like whatever makes you feel good, right? So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I had a client once who told me that wearing red lipstick made her feel more confident. So I was like,
Mm,
hey, if that's like you put on red lipstick every time you go on camera. And then it like became like a signature thing that she like always wanted
yeah.
to wear red lipstick, right? So it's going to be different for everyone, but just try out different things to make yourself feel more comfortable. And as you go, you're going to get better and better and more comfortable with it.
Yeah, I love that tip. And I'm curious, do you usually batch your videos? Like, do you film multiple videos at once in one
Yes.
sitting? Yeah.
Yeah, batching is one of the most important things when it comes to video because the other huge thing that people say all the time when it comes to YouTube and video content is, well, it takes too long, right? I hear that all the time. It
Mm,
takes too long to create video content, but it doesn't have to. Like if you follow my system and you do the strategy up front and then you batch your content, it's going to save you so much time. And you're actually going to save time in the long run because you're not going to have to create a bunch of other content because you're repurposing, right? You're batching
mhm,
and repurposing. So
mhm.
yeah, I
Oh,
batch
yes.
like crazy. For myself, I usually batch up to a month to 2 months ahead of time for my own content. But for clients, like if I'm doing done for you services where I actually do this whole system for them, we film up to 6 months of content in 3 days.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Wait, so in 3 days you film 6 months
26
worth of content?
videos. Yeah.
Wow. Oh my gosh, that's incredible. How does that even work? Like I'm just like now sidetracking a little bit. Like that's incredible. How do you even do
Mhm.
that?
Yeah, so it's just following that three-phase system, right? Like that strategy up front, like really having everything prepared ahead of time. So like for done for you clients, yeah, we do all of the keyword research, we write all the scripts, we get everything completed so that when it's time for filming day, all they have to do is set up, show up in front of the camera and film, right? And then we batch edit, we batch just like repurpose, we do all of that stuff. So batching is really, really key for saving time.
Mhm. Yeah, oh, that's so incredible. I so curious. We need to talk more.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a
Uh,
time saver for entrepreneurs, right? Because 6 months of content, like, could you imagine having that done and just like not having
yeah.
to worry about it? Yeah,
Yeah,
it's pretty
I think I
awesome.
really need that. That's incredible. I love that. Okay, let's go into phase three, which is
Mhm.
social sales machine,
Yeah.
social sales machine. Okay, what exactly does that entail? Is it like about repurposing and how does that work?
Yeah, you're completely right. It's about repurposing and then really creating like a two-way traffic system for your videos. So you are taking that one piece of content, like we said earlier, repurposing it into all of these different little pieces, and then creating a content plan to then distribute it across all of those places.
Mhm,
So again, this is going to look different depending on what social platforms you're on, but we can create basically for every single platform. Yeah,
mhm,
and then we create your content plan that gets distributed across all those platforms. And then what we're doing is we're really creating a two-way traffic system because YouTube is sending traffic now to all your other social media channels, but your social media channels with those little mini videos are then pushing back to YouTube where your lead center generation system's been set up, right? So you're just constantly traffic is going two ways through both of those platforms.
mhm. Yeah. Do you usually see people use, say, like Instagram and like what are some common platforms that we can repurpose our videos into?
Yeah, Instagram is number one for sure because I think
Mhm,
most people are just on Instagram, right?
mhm,
And there's just so many places to use video on Instagram now, especially with Reels and IGTV and Live and Instagram stories. It's just everywhere. So that's a big one. Instagram feed videos, so just putting it in your actual feed. IGTV, like I said, repurposing, that's a big one. You can actually repurpose smaller vertical versions for your Instagram stories.
mhm,
Um, and then, yeah, repurposing again for Reels if you like. Another big one is for a blog, lots of people have blogs. So we'll actually transcribe your video and then put that up onto a blog. And then you're also getting more SEO there as well.
Yeah.
Podcasts, so stripping the audio and then putting it up on a podcast. Pinterest, like blog pins, and then sending traffic back to your blog or back to YouTube. That's a big one. Just literally every platform we can repurpose your video.
That is so amazing. I love repurposing. I think honestly, repurposing is the key of content creation because
Absolutely.
no one has the time to sit around and just, like creating new things every single moment and every single second. So that's
Yeah.
amazing. Do you suggest people share their videos on the day that it's distributed? Like, for example, I mean, obviously we should mention it, I guess, but for the shorter versions, would you recommend people do it a little bit later so people watch it on YouTube, or how does that work?
Yeah, so it depends on which kind of platform we're talking about. But for the majority of like the smaller teaser videos, I like to push them out on the same day as the YouTube video because YouTube's actually proven or has gone and said that the more signals that it can get to a video as soon as possible, the better. So the first 24 hours of your video going live on YouTube are the most important. So as soon as my video goes live or clients' videos go live, I make sure to send a teaser video to all their social platforms. We actually send an email to their list if they have a list, so that all those signals are kind of being pushed to YouTube as soon as possible. And then some of the other versions, like your IGTV videos or your blog posts, your podcast, things like that, can kind of go at different days. But it's just like those smaller little teaser pieces that I like to push back.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. I love that. Would you recommend your clients or entrepreneurs that's listening right now, would you recommend they take some time to actually watch the video themselves, like just to get the algorithm working for them?
Yes, absolutely. There's a couple things you can do as soon as your video goes live. So yeah, watch the full thing through. If you have friends and family, like make them watch the full thing through. Like when I first started my channel, I'd always be like, "Hey mom, dad, like make sure to watch my whole video." And they're like, I don't want to do this." But do it, right? Like the more views you can get as soon as possible, the better. Like within those 24 hours, the better. So yeah, make all your friends and family do it. And then you can also like your own video, which is important. You can share your own video to, a Facebook group or something like that. Because all those things, again, are just more signals to YouTube that, your content's being watched and has authority. And you can also comment on your own video as well. So all those little signals help.
Yeah. And would you recommend putting the freebie or the lead magnet inside the description box, or where would you put that link?
Yeah, I would put it inside the description box for sure. It's really the only place that you can have a link in YouTube. So yeah, I would put that there as well with your description, your tags, and all that stuff as well.
Oh my gosh, amazing. Okay, if there's an entrepreneur that's listening right now, they're thinking, "Oh yes, I'm going to get started." What's that one thing or multiple things that you recommend they do right now to be able to start, getting their videos out there and optimizing their content and generating leads 24 hours a day?
Yeah. I'd say the biggest thing is, figuring out what your clients or your audience really wants to know, and then doing that keyword research, because that really is what is going to get the ball rolling on actually having your videos be found. So that's a really big one, doing that keyword research. And you can use tools like TubeBuddy or vidIQ. Those are some really good ones, and you can get started for free on them to start doing that keyword research and seeing what people are actually searching for on YouTube. So that would be the first thing, and write down all of those ideas, write them all down. And then start feeling comfortable on video. So I always say, if you feel really uncomfortable on video, start with Instagram stories. Make it a goal for yourself to go show your face on Instagram stories every single day for 21 days. And make it a challenge, check it off on a sheet of paper, because at the end of the 21 days, you're going to have formed a habit and it's not going to feel as uncomfortable anymore. And then you can start moving on to actually creating your video content, and you'll be a pro by 21 days. So those would be the two things that, really help you get started. The third one would be make sure you have an email list, because that's going to be the place for you to collect those leads. So making sure you kind of get started, start building your list. Those would be the three things. Yeah.
I can't believe the amount of just value that you just dropped. It's been 25-ish minutes and I just oh my gosh, my mind is blown and I hope that entrepreneurs that's listening right now, you're loving this as much as I do. Before we start wrapping up, I know you have a special gift for us. Do you mind sharing a little bit more
Mhm.
about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Video Marketing Accelerator is my group coaching program. It's 6 months long, and I just relaunched it for its second time. So, it's been completely revised. It's longer now. There's more information, more access to me. I'm very, very proud of it. So, it's awesome. But I have a free web class or a free master class that you can actually watch that goes through exactly what we talked about today, but even a little bit more detail. And I show you exactly all the 3 steps to create this generate these leads for yourself. So it's a free masterclass that you can sign up for at any time. Watch it. If you have questions, you can always message me on Instagram or send me an email. But that free masterclass is for you guys to watch and learn a little bit more.
Yeah, and the link is in the description box. So if you're interested, oh, you should be interested. I'm interested. Make sure to go and check it out. And before I let you go, where can people connect with you online? What are your social media handles?
Yeah, so I am at Wanderment Creative on all social media channels.
Okay, perfect. And your website?
Yeah, so www.wandermentcreative.com.
Oh, easy.
Easy, easy.
That's incredible. Thank you again so much for being on your Entrepreneur Resources show. All the actionable tips and strategies. Oh my gosh, I'm like amazed. If entrepreneurs are listening right now, in case you want a summary of the interview, make sure to check out our show notes, which I'll put in the description box. We have our live interviews with experts here twice a week, so make sure to stay tuned and join our community on Facebook. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I'll chat with you very soon and have a great rest of your day.